My presentation today is on developing a disaster preparedness management information system and business continuity for Warsaw. And as Dr. Ramrupal alluded to, putting together all the plans and policies of all the utilities that would gel together into the overall national disaster preparedness plan. And we at WASA have been working assiduously in formulating this plan, which will be completed this year, and for the ODPM to review. In this picture, you'll see some of our dams, and in the presentation by Dr. Ramo, he spoke about the vulnerability of the dams, especially Hollis Dam, which was actually commissioned in 1936. You'll see the Arena Dam, a 9 billion gallon reservoir dam, the Hollis Dam, and down you see the Hillsborough Dam in Tobago, and the Navet Dam, which actually consists of two dams, the Navet High Dam and Low Dam. And these dams help us during the dry season period of Trinidad. It will last for 6 months from December to June. There are some facts about disaster preparedness, and we see some of the information that was gathered from Engineer Gibbs and from other presenters, that 80% of the businesses that are affected by a major incident, right, they close down, they go out of business. 90% of businesses that lose data from a disaster go out of business. And 94% of organizations who have a BCP had a reduced impact on the disruption, and it's only 47% of organizations have a specific BCP in place. And this information is obtained from the Chartered Management Institute of Business Continuity. Another slide I want to show you is some emergencies which we recently had. You see on the right-hand side there, the country is out of, well, not the country, well, 100,000 customers were out of water that's supplied from the North Oropouche supplied system that's of Valencia, where a landslide dislodged our 42-inch main. It's a 42-inch ductile iron main that was put down in 1978 or thereabout. And we had to get some specialist materials to fix it. And you see those blue clamps that were flown in from the United States to actually clamp the pipes together so that reduce the leakage and repair the main. In Tobago, there are a lot of landslips in that area, and some of these landslips also affect some of our wells, our production wells. In fact, about 5 years ago, there was an earthquake that affected Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the wells actually collapsed in north of Tobago there. Another picture there is the heavy silting of the Guanapo intake. And this is inundated when we have a lot of rains, and towards the further reaches of the Guanapo intake, there's a lot of quarrying that is going on. And because of the poor quarrying practices that is happening in this country, it has been damaging our rivers, and 40%, actually about 40% of our water comes from rivers. The largest supply comes from the Caroni River, where we pull 75 million gallons a day of water, and which is subjected to a lot of pollution and heavy silting sedimentation. Not only caused by quarrying, but also caused by even fertilizers and pesticides runoff. So WASA spends a lot of millions of dollars every day to clean up the water that you all need to drink. So this is a slide on government expenditure up to 2010. And you'll see from what is happening with respect to expenditure in terms of flooding, it has more than doubled. Right? And every 2 years, you see a doubling of expenditure with respect to flooding, and the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, even though we tend to knock them, I think they are doing a very good job to try and get this flooding situation under control. Right, what is disaster preparedness management information system? Now, in every company, we have records are mostly in people's head. We have plans. The plans are probably sitting on shelves. And this disaster preparedness information system is really a record of what they call past disaster effects. It has a record of the existing human skills, the materials, equipment, resources, where are they in terms of readiness. It has what they call emergency response plans and other plans, and mitigation strategies. And also, you have contacts with the wider Caribbean, like, for example, the network with the CDEMA or the PM, etc. Who are these people you can call on in disasters for help? And where do you get this data from? It actually is from what we call the BCP plan. BCP plan has what they call a compilation of safety plans. You'll have the spill prevention plans. You will have also natural hazard plans, man-made hazard plans, and all the other plans. You'd see that forms into what they call a business continuity plan. And right towards the right-hand side, you'll see what they call risk management plan. That also goes into the BCP. Some definitions on business continuity is the capability of an organization to really deliver products or services at acceptable predefined levels following a disruptive incident. This comes from the ISO standard 22301. And business continuity management is a holistic management process that identifies potential threats to an organization and the impacts to the business operations. So it provides a building for the framework of organizational resistance with the capability in response to the safeguards and interests of key stakeholders. In our case in WASA, our customers and government and all the private institutions, the hospitals, the schools, etc. This is the business disaster preparedness business continuity cycle: preparedness, response, recovery, and you have the business continuity phase in that. Right, a graph showing you where you have business as usual, and with the business as usual that is happening, you need to be preparing for any likelihood of an event, which means that you need to have assessment of a risk, what preparedness plans you have, what mitigation strategies, and then having a proper level of effort, you can reduce your recovery times and the emergency response. In this project that we were doing in WASA is twofold. We're looking at the business impact analysis of the operations of WASA. And in doing so, we are looking also at using the ISO 22301 guidelines to build the disaster preparedness management information system. And this project is an 18-month project. We have consultants with us from IBI and Trinsult that are working with us to develop this plan. And within the plan, within the project scope, we have mock drills and exercises and development of recovery teams throughout Trinidad and Tobago. This is the description of the ISO standard on business continuity management system. And it looks at what they call a plan, do, check, act plan. And you'd see it more enunciated here, where you have the plan, do, check, act model and requirements for business continuity actually flowing into the plan, do, check, act model, which would go into the management of the business continuity. And these are the standard processes in which the plan is based on. You'll see the first thing, leadership. If you don't have board of directors and management support, then we won't be going anywhere. Then the whole aspect of planning, build it into your strategic plan, whether it's a 2-year strategic plan, 5-year strategic plan, etc. And the rolling off of that plan. The support of the plan, company-wide, needs to be achieved as well. And there are also the continuous updating with mock drills, exercises of the plan. And I'll talk about disaster preparedness levels. Everybody asks, are you ready? Are you prepared? Our CEO and management always asks, are we prepared? What is the level of preparedness? And I'll show you in some slide how we actually measure that. So these are some mitigation measures which we were doing in WASA in order to safeguard the water supply in the event of a disaster. And you notice that the fire of on that transformer in TNTech created an outage, but people still had water in the taps because WASA had made a significant investment in standby power. We have over 72 standby power systems in WASA of various sizes located at various critical plants. We also had invested in 10 satellite communication phones, right, so that if the communication system goes down, we could communicate with one another and also with the ODPM and any outside help. We also purchased a lot of specialized water tankers for the distribution of water, as well as cranes and vac masters for the wastewater, on blockages on the wastewater system. Also, in tandem with that, we have been continuously building our, what we call our SCADA network, which monitors some of our plants remotely, because in some of the instances when we had this tropical storm Brett in '93, a lot of the people left the plants and they went home to secure their families. And as a result, they actually shut down some of the plants, so therefore people couldn't get any water. So these are some situations, real-life situations we have to deal with. Some of our plants can be remotely controlled and monitored as well, and we have a lot of security cameras on a lot of our installations. In that little picture, this side there we have what they call emergency response containers or units throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Right, we have 14 of them, and these are units that have materials and small supplies to repair pipes and fittings and to help communities in various areas to restore water supply. Also in that, we also have pushed forward our maintenance programs. You'll see there in that top picture, the sedimentation and Caroni water treatment plant. And this is what I'm talking about, the heavy silting of the Caroni River, in which we have to use a lot of chemicals to take off the silt and even the pollutants. And we use specialized filters at Caroni plant, carbon filters. And we're actually doing an upgrade on the plant this year. It's going to cost the country $48 million to do another upgrade on the plant. And this is because of the nature of the Caroni River and the sedimentation load and the pollutants. In order to maintain the quality of water that you all drink, we have to spend a lot of money to keep this plant running properly. We also invested in pollution monitoring systems on the Caroni rivers and subsidiaries of the river as well, which monitor pollutants and dispersants. And also, the Water Resources Agency has developed an early warning system, a hydrological remote monitoring system for the country as well, in which MET gets a lot of data on rainfall, evaporation, and stream flows and conditions all over Trinidad and Tobago. And this information is widely available to Trinidad, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, from our National Water Resources Database, which was set up last year with Schlumberger Water Services. So we have been doing a lot of investment in technology and mitigation measures in WASA. Coupled with that, we have a very strong database, GIS database system, which gives us an idea of where all our transmission and distribution lines, treatment plants. We have large, small, and medium treatment plants, booster stations, 244 water wells. The infrastructure is huge, massive, it's costly, including the dams, reservoirs, tanks, all over Trinidad and Tobago. And all of this we have on a GIS database system. This is Tobago as well, not affected Tobago. We also have a comprehensive database for Tobago, which is continuously being updated with our continuous upgrade on our capital programs. And you would know about our IDB loan we got for the wastewater infrastructure development. And we had a lot of public relations on the media talking about wastewater and capturing of wastewater and treating of wastewater and using the treated wastewater for agricultural purposes. And then there's another project using the beaten wastewater, treated wastewater through a recycling station with an underground undersea pipeline to Point Lisas for industrial water. So these are a lot of initiatives WASA has been pursuing with the government in order to ensure that our drinking water supply is conserved and maximized. Now, in WASA, what we have developed here and is developing right now with the consultants is looking at what they call a preparedness model. WASA has a number of divisions. The biggest division is the operations division, which has about 12 to 1,600 people that runs the operations and maintenance of the water infrastructure and wastewater infrastructure of the country. Then we have the corporate services department that look at facilities and program and change management, which is the PMO office, looks at all the programs, HR, and finance. So what we're actually doing here is actually looking at the level of preparedness in each of the areas to particular events, whether it be a hurricane, a storm, different types of categories of hurricanes, earthquakes, etc. Right? And information is gotten from this algorithm here into, I don't know if you could see it, there's actually a number of weightings that will look at the level of preparedness for each of the water system. And the information is actually updated by each of the directors, heads, or responsible agent for each division, so that they have a dashboard to update this every 6 months so that you can actually see whether the preparedness level is going up or is going down. And from this, you can determine what gaps are necessary to develop your disaster preparedness budget. All right, so this is some of the information that goes into the summary sheet. That's what they call the business impact analysis. All right, so these are the team resources that is working together to get the BCP plan out. It forms all divisions of WASA. All right, let's just skip this. Let's go to the benefits. Now, I mean, we've been talking about disaster preparedness for a long time. And it's talk. What it's actually doing, it's only when a disaster hits Trinidadians, then everybody starts to run and say, listen, we need to get this thing in place, etc. Right? It's very important that we keep the eye on the ball. Be aware. Know what are the hazards, right? What are the measures for mitigation, right? Do you have any company MOUs, MOAs with suppliers, contractors? What about the evacuation plan? Are there mock drills and exercises? All right. What about risk assessment? Is your company doing that? More importantly, resources. Do you have sufficient resources available to mitigate against such measures? It's very difficult, as Engineer Ravi was saying. It's very difficult to keep transformers, in stock. So what is the alternative? And even in WASA, we have huge lines. We have from 72-inch right down to 4-inch lines. And it's very difficult to keep those size of materials in stock. Communication is another important aspect of it, and equipment. And we have been partnering very actively with the ODPM, and you can see from since 2006 what are the activities we're involved in. And you remember they talk about the bird flu and the pandemics. And we had a lot of disaster management training by FEMA, right? And then we had 2 international conferences, summits that came in that also looked at the resilience of water and supplying water in event of an emergency or disaster. Resource information, and some of our colleagues here had pointed out to where you can get information. You have the standards. You have the standard, the ISO 31000 Enterprise Risk Management Standard, which we are building WASA framework upon. You have the Disaster Recovery Journal. You have the Journal of Crisis Management. You have the ODPM website. And you have a lot of information there, a plethora of information on disaster preparedness. The thing is to get everything together and get your plan in order and start working and continue developing the plan so that as to minimize the risk, right, to the population. So further, do any questions?
Floor is open for questions. I think we can take a couple. I see.
You could ask me any questions about WASA, you know.
Yes.
I'm free to take any question.
Yes, one question, sir.
Yes.
Well, you know, a couple years ago, the country experienced, well, my name is Andre Alphonse from the UTT, student at UTT. I would like to know if WASA have any remedial action or anything to put in place to deal with another drought, because about 3 or 4 years ago, the country experienced a drought and people were suffering for water. Plenty of restrictions was made of how to use water and everything. But have you all made any provisions to increase capacity of a reservoir or additional reservoirs somewhere that could deal with such an event in case it happens again, since the demand of water is increasing?
Well, first of all, the demand for water is increasing industrially. Trinidad and Tobago uses a lot of water. It wastes a lot of water, right? Unfortunately, because it's cheap, it's quickly available. That's one thing. In terms of the drought, we have recognized that the groundwater system and even the surface water, because of climate change, we are experiencing less and less rainfall. Yes, you'll have events which cause flooding, and that's why the people from Ministry of Works, they were talking about capturing the water and using the storm water and using the water for water supply purposes. And this is the reason why we had made an agreement with the Desalcott. Desalcott, we buy water from Desalcott, 32 million gallons of water a day from Desalcott. And by this year, they are going up to 40 million gallons a day. So that this water will also supplement our dry season and periods of drought as well. In tandem with that, we have also purchase water agreement with Seven Seas Water. That's down in Point 14. The plant was commissioned last year. And that's 4.5 million gallons of water. That is for the Point 14 Atlantic Energy, coming up way up to the Labidco estate. So we recognize that there is a huge depletion of fresh water and the reason to go into desalination. But we also need to look at conserving water and using it wisely. Now, there was a study that was done some years ago saying that all the water resides on the north coast. You can get close to over 60 million gallons of water on the north coast. But the problem is to bring the water from the north coast over the mountains into the populated areas of Trinidad, which is a huge infrastructure cost, and also it's going to create an environmental impact as well.
Yes, we have one. I can take one more brief question.
Fazir Khan, Alpha Engineering. I saw a slide where you indicated there was a landslide that compromised the WASA transmission main. Practicing civil engineers that deal with landslides, we have a different experience as well, that there are a lot of, when we do investigate the initiation of some of the landslides in a lot of our roadways, it comes from a leaking WASA main. And I think it's a serious thing. I'm not being facetious, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed within the context of a study that was done, WASA Tariff Review 2008, it is on the internet, TTMA. Unaccounted for water, we all know the figure is over 50%. And that is because we have 6 pipe breaks per kilometer of line. A well-maintained system internationally, that figure is about 1 pipe break per kilometer. I believe that a lot of focus has to be placed by WASA in dealing with the distribution network and addressing the pipe breaks. It will help stop the cutoffs that we find in some of our areas when we discover a landslide and it is a 6-inch or 8-inch main broken. And also, instead of concentrating on looking for more water, we should concentrate on saving the water that we find in the reservoirs by treating with very aggressively with the reparation works that need to be carried out. And it really is a pet peeve of mine and it's in the papers every day, when we see repairs being carried out and then next week it is leaking again. And a couple of years ago, a previous CEO tried to blame 60% of the unaccounted for water as leaks within people's properties, and I would really like to see how that statistic has come up to, because a 6-inch main leaking on a main road for 5 minutes cannot equate to the volume of loss in 5 breaks on 5 properties on the same road. Thank you. Okay,
well noted. Just to let you know that we have an aggressive leakage repair program. We have over 24 WASA leakage repair crews, 48 WASA leakage repair crews throughout Trinidad and Tobago, coupled with 40 to 50 contractors. Our last major job we did was the total replacement of the Navet trunk main, which had a very high leakage, and that trunk main was put in 1956 or thereabout. And we totally repaired it with WASA people, actually in-house people, design and we, there's about 22 kilometers of line. Another thing that we are doing also is the dwelling of the Caroni South Trunk main. There's about 20 kilometers. It's a 54-inch main, and we're going to dwell that main also so as to reduce the leakage and the pressures on that main. And also what we're actually doing right now is the replacement of the Hollis water line. You will probably know about that. It's another transmission network that extends from Valencia to Port of Spain to the 6-inch line. And that is expected to be completed in the next 2 months. So we have been investing a lot of money in leakage. We know that we have a lot of old age infrastructure and it's going to be placed. We have a mandate to deliver 24/7 by the end of this year.